I started.
Good evening, everyone. Today I would like to discuss how elementary schools should reduce screen time for students in their classrooms. My purpose for this presentation is to discuss the need to minimize screen time for elementary school students. A lot of the screen time is due to the individual laptops that students are now given. I want to analyze the negative effects that result from the use of these laptops. This presentation is going to include an introduction where I'm going to discuss the current technology used in classrooms, as well as the developmental stages of children in elementary schools. I then want to discuss the negative effects that result in the classroom, negative lifestyle effects, and I'm going to finish the presentation with a conclusion that summarizes my main points. Since the year 2010, there has been a great increase in technology used in elementary schools. This is due to increased internet access, a wide variety of technology devices such as smartboards and online textbooks, and nowadays more than half of classrooms across the country give their children a personal device to use in both the classroom and at home. Children in elementary school should not be given these personal electronics. This is because their brains are not fully developed until they're in second or third grade. Their social skills need to develop during elementary school, and relationships are very important for humans. Learning styles become apparent in elementary school, and many kids prefer hands-on for memorization. And also, kids should be very active during this part of their life. There are many negative effects that result in the classroom due to these electronic devices being given to the students. For one thing, the students decrease their ability to focus due to laptops given in the classroom. This is due to a lot of the educational games where kids are more concerned about advancing or winning the game than they are focused on the lesson that is being taught. Also, concentration becomes difficult throughout the day when kids want to return to these games instead of doing quality work with other assignments that are given to them. Class time is also affected by the inclusion of technology in the classroom. If you rely on technology, many times the technology will reboot or restart or shut down during a lesson, and this wastes a lot of time. For example, when I was in high school and we would use smartboards to take notes, many times the screen would turn blue in the middle of note-taking and the entire thing would shut down. It would then take about half an hour to get the entire thing restarted, the notes to come up, and us to continue class. That meant that the lesson would not be finished in that day and would have to be pushed to other days. There's also a lot of individual confusion and misuse of technology devices. A lot of the kids learn at different speeds, and many of them are not going to be able to keep up with others when learning new things with technology. Also, when kids take the computer home at night, they may come back the next day with missing keys or broken screens, and that's an issue because if the class relies on the use of technology, the student will be unable to keep up with the class for that day. Additional staff will be needed for support of these electronic devices. This includes computer technicians or an information technology department that will have to be included in the school. To hire the people to make these departments and adjustments is going to cost a lot of money. Also, there will need to be backup technology for the kids who do break their computers, and that is costly as well. Additional training for teachers is another costly addition to including laptops for students in classrooms. The teachers will need to attend required workshops and training sessions, and that means that they will miss work, which negatively impacts the students. Lots of students do not learn as effectively with a substitute teacher in the classroom. There will be also many difficulties implementing what the teachers learned at these training sessions when they return to class. Lots of malfunctions happen, and lots of times they cannot effectively communicate what they learned in one day to the students as they learn a new lesson. The achievement gap and opportunity gap are also widened by the inclusion of laptops in schools. First of all, it is very expensive for schools to incorporate this technology in the classroom. It is also expensive to access the internet at home, and many low-income families do not have access to the internet. That means homework and online lessons cannot be accessed for these students once they return home. An example of students who may not be able to afford that are those who pay for the reduced price lunch. Also, access depends on geographic location. So many students who live in rural areas will not be able to access the internet as readily. There are also many negative lifestyle effects that result from the inclusion of these laptops. The physical health of students is negatively impacted because there's a lot less physical activity when the students have these laptops. There's a great increased risk of obesity when the kids spend multiple hours on the computer every day. Pediatricians recommend that elementary students get less than 90 minutes of computer time each day. Also, advertisement can lead to negative behaviors such as unhealthy snacks and more gaming. The mental health of students is also negatively impacted. There is a lot of research that shows a connection between depression and the time a student spends on the computer. This is due to the lack of socialization students experience, as well as other activities that stimulate happiness when combined with other peers. Low self-esteem also results from an increased use of computers because many kids who use computers a lot are isolated and don't know how to effectively communicate with others once they get off of the screen. Games also create stress and anxiety for kids, which helps to develop this depression as well. Socialization is also decreased because of these personal laptops. Overall socialization is decreased because many times kids, when they go in groups with their friends, will bring their computers with them, and instead of socializing face-to-face, they will be on their computers the entire time. This limits the interactions with peers, which is a key developmental stage for elementary school kids. Also, many kids develop addictions to gaming, and it is now proven that 4 to 8% of young children do have addictions to games. Sleep cycles also become very irregular when students are given a personal laptop to take home. This is because homework and personal lessons that need to be completed on the computer may not be completed until the child is about to go to bed. It is now proven that 76% of children use a screen device before they go to bed, and this affects their sleep cycle because of the blue light that is emitted from these devices. The blue light has a short wavelength that stimulates brain activity, and the increased brain activity that results decreases the amount of melatonin released into the brain before they go to bed. This makes it harder for the kids to fall asleep and harder for them to wake up in the morning. The drowsiness that results then extends into the school day, which leads to poor academic performance, and it makes the kids twice as likely to fall asleep during class. In conclusion, the use of laptops should be minimized in elementary schools. It is important for elementary schools, or for elementary children, to use this time in school to develop key points such as their socialization skills. There are also many negative effects in the classroom, such as the lack of focus I talked about, the wasted time, and the expense. There are also many negative effects for the lifestyle of the children who obtain a personal laptop from school, and that's the physical and mental health of the children, as well as the ability to socialize and sleep regularly. Thank you guys so much for your time. I would now like to open the floor to any questions.
I have one.
Yeah.
You mentioned that when you were talking about the obesity risk due to children using computers in the classroom, if they're already spending their time sedentary taking notes, how is that increasing the risk for obesity?
Well, lots of times the computers are then encouraged to take home, to do the homework there, to do more lessons there, and if the child has his or her own personal device, they may just take that device into their rooms where even after their homework they will play games and do other activities on the device instead of getting the extended physical activity outside. Also, many times students ask to use their computer to finish lessons, keyboarding assignments, everything like that. During recess or extra recess, they will bring their device with them, so instead of getting the physical activity there, they will be seated looking at a screen for more time.
You were talking about also a few slides ago the socialization aspect, where it's like being on a computer meant that you aren't social. Even if you are social, you're not social because you'll take your computer with you, and that obviously means you aren't talking to anyone. You're busy gaming and you're in this hypnotic trance. And that didn't really make a lot of sense because, I mean, you said people who, can you go back to the slide so I know like exactly what you said so I'm not like misinterpreting? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of like people who use devices more are more isolated, so they don't develop these things as compared to people who are like running around and playing with other people. Like you can, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Are you trying to say that you can still be social while using electronics,
Yeah, but
or
like
through the use of electronics?
you can still be antisocial without electronics too. It doesn't necessarily. It's not a causal relationship.
That's true. It's just proven that when the children are given this extra technology device, lots of times they will bring it with them to social events. So many times kids who instead would be socializing, learning nonverbal communication skills, running around, instead of doing that, they are seated with their computers, and even if they may be talking to other people, when their mind is focused on the game they're playing or the lesson they're learning, it's not as effective as the in-person communication.